Hey, do you need wallpaper? Go to wallpaperboulevard.com. Give them my name, tell them Spencer Colgan sent you, and they'll be sure to give you 10% off at checkout. Check it out. Tell them I said hello. They have a tremendous selection. Don't shop anywhere else until you've checked out www.wallpaperboulevard.com. So you're hanging an accent wall, and you're a great paper hanger. In fact, you're a homeowner who has hung all the wallpaper in her or his house. And so you don't have this down regarding symmetry. You figure you're going to hang from the left to the right or the right to the left, and you don't take into account that at the end you have this much wallpaper. And so you say, well, it looks great. Well, if you can just perfect that, you'd be a professional. Here's the wall, the simple little wall. In fact, if you look at that wall, the window is not centered on it. So if the pattern I'm about to hang, which is a geometric pattern, it's plaid, it's squares. The window's going to make the wall look more off with this particular wallpaper. My wall is 91 3/4 inches wide. My wallpaper is 20 1/2 inches wide. And this is the wallpaper. Okay? Each of the marks that you see in the middle of your screen represents 20 1/2 inches from the edge. 20 1/2, 20 1/2, 20 1/2, 20 1/2. But when we get to the end, we're going to have a small piece of wallpaper. But if the pattern were different or busy, wouldn't matter. But these lines are spaced out evenly, aren't they? If you have this starting on the left, don't you want that ending on the right? How do you do it? Well, you would start in the middle, meaning you would plan from the middle so that the left side has an equal amount of wallpaper. And we're going to lay that out to see how it looks before we hang it. So now if my wall is 91 3/4, we have to fill the wall in with wallpaper. We all know that. But where do you lay it out so that it looks like this? So now you definitely have a bigger wall that you're hanging. You're watching this video. Your wall is 10 feet, 12 feet, 15 feet. It's the same idea. My yellow tape measure represents my wall. See how it doesn't go all the way to the end? It's simulating my wall, showing me where my wallpaper will lay on the wall. Because I stopped the tape measure at 91 3/4, which is the width of my wall. You see these lines here? On the end of my tape measure are the lines, and I come all the way across, and I'm on the lines again. Wow. Now we know. We're going to make this easy. So I got my wall ends on the third line here. 91 3/4. Let's move this over here. Now, we may not be down to the line when we get this on the wall because of various things. such as the wall not being perfectly flat or evenly textured, etc. It throws off the consumption of wall covering as it goes along. It eats the wallpaper, meaning that it doesn't lay out as planned, but we would only be a little off. But you get the idea here. So, I'm toward the middle here. I'm going to put it on the third line. There are 4 lines in this pattern. I'm putting it on the third line there. Wow, I like this. We're making progress here. Let me move this over. Okay, it looks like we're going to wind up between the second and third line. The reason I show you this is so you understand what's actually involved when you achieve symmetry on the wall. Can you imagine starting on the wall, you have a full square, and then you end like right here. No one's going to notice it in the homeowner's world. No one's going to notice it. They're going to say, looks great, you did a great job. But as paper hangers, we're bound to yield to the laws of professional standards, which is if we can make something symmetrical, we have to. And so we know what we're doing. We're in the lines, okay? I don't think anyone's going to notice if you have 2 lines there and 1 on the other end, or 2 here and 3 on the other side. You get the idea. So I think I got it. We'll start the pattern at the end of the gray square on those lines. We'll bring it all the way over here. And we're going to end it on these lines. Okay? Now, the wall has to be plumb. Okay? And I don't know if it is. Okay? We have to have a nice straight wall there in order to do that, right? And if, see, this is such a small wall that I'm trusting that the ceiling, even if it's off, is not going to be off over the span of 92 inches, you know? So let's do it. Let's try it. The same thing we did horizontally. Because of the pattern, I'd like to do vertically. Wouldn't it be nice? You ever go into a bathroom in a restaurant? You see the big tiles at the top. You get down to the bottom and they're little. It would be nice. I have an 87-inch length, top to bottom. You can see at the end of the tape, right? I'm just under the lines there. Let's put it on the line. Okay? Tape measures on the line. Let's see where 87 falls. Wow. Same place. Just on the gray, like at the top is gray and at the bottom. Here's the problem with this, and I know the veterans already understand this and they know it. You don't want to be that close to the line, because the chances of this being perfectly, you know, where my line is going to completely be hidden or cut off is slim. I would rather that the 87 mark fell here rather than here. So what I'm going to try to do is bring my tape measure down below that line so that I'm nowhere near the line at the top and at the bottom. Okay, so you either want to be below these cluster of lines or above it. Okay, so I would be going into the next box. If this is 87, and I wind up here. You see where I wind up there? It's easier if I have runoff on a solid color rather than on lines, because once you cut it too close to the lines, you're stuck. If this line should happen to creep up above your woodwork, it's not going to look right, okay? So we're going to go with this idea of in the gray, and we're going to make that happen, okay? For those of you who may have noticed, I have now brought my wallpaper together. There are no gaps. But in theory, what I said during the measurement side to side is true. We want the same over there as we do over here. Okay, so we know what we have to do vertically. We're going to do the same horizontally. Now, just for the purposes of this video, the distance between this edge and this edge is 4 inches. For my video, for my installation today, this is going to work out what I'm going to do. I'm simply going to divide the 4 inches in this square and the 4 inches of the end square evenly, so that I have an equal amount of inches in the middle of this square as I do in this square, okay? And that'll give me the same on both sides. So we're starting to see what our layout is hoping for. We have achieved vertical symmetry. If you look at the top, we have an equal amount of gray here as we do here. So that's a good job. But now, our wall was slightly off over here. I measured 4 inches from this line this way and made marks on the 4-inch line so that my line could go in the corner. And they were all even until I got to the bottom. Okay, but so far, it's unnoticeable. And that's what you want. You can't tell that there's any curvature in that wall. Now, for those of you veterans, because I sometimes get veterans watching my channel, we both know, you and I agree, that this is a pain that nobody wants to deal with. I could have brought this wallpaper over here, right up against here. I would have been fine. But then, here's the deal. My viewers, I get a lot of people who learn a lot from my videos. And they're the people I'm serving. Trades don't like to share their information. They don't. It takes time. It takes a lot of time to explain, etc., etc. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but it takes time. And so to do this right, we have to inconvenience ourselves with this. I don't like it. Now, I will tell you this. It's not always easy to put wallpaper around a window without a buckle. It's very easy to lose sight of being level here, being plumb here, and being horizontal here. If you're off on either one, or a combination of two, you'll have a problem meeting up, or you'll have a problem of the wallpaper straightening out, okay? As I come around my window, I am going to make this perfect. I don't care. But midway down the window, I lose a hair here, okay? And I'm going to push it up. We are not going to be off. To get this right, I lifted this wall covering And I played with it, pushing this down, pushing this up to share the dilemma between both sheets. It is critical. If you're going to get the corner, if you're going to wrap around a window properly, you must remove the tension here. See this? When you cut that, the wall covering can move properly and in square with this sheet. Now, after doing so and relieving the tension, we still have work to do. That's unacceptable. Okay, so we're gonna start. Just using the fat of my hand, right? Here's the deal. Once this gets wet, this wall covering, you make it susceptible to tearing. Okay, and if you have wall covering that tears easily, first of all, it's garbage. It really is, it's garbage. Nothing should tear under this manipulation. But if it tears, you know, you're in for it. Okay, we're gonna make this perfect. Success. Would you agree? The next piece is critical. As critical as was this one, with the added responsibility that we need perfection on this as we achieved on this. Okay? But look at the beauty. Oh my goodness. Look at that line there. Look at that. Oh, it's perfectly. Don't you love it? Look at that. And if you can hang paper and you incorporate this into your hanging, you'll have it perfect. You'll have it perfect too. I don't care if you never did it before. You can do this. You can do it. Not happy. You know we're symmetrical. You know that. Some of you will say, Spencer, why didn't you use the laser level? Well, I'm dealing with a laser right here, you know. And the idea is the laser level might actually tell you something you don't want to know, which is that the wall isn't plumb. So rather than use a laser, we're doing this by a practical procedure, and that is to keep the lines off of the wall. Lasers are great if you need to have a plumb line, but your plumb line may in fact make you hang your lines incongruent with the wall. Is that the word? What is opposite of parallel? Okay, so I just went on Google asking for an antonym for the word parallel. And it, you know, we're getting pretty basic in the 21st century with the dumbing down of the language and all of that. It said non-parallel, but I know there's a word for it. So actually, I asked for an antonym for parallel. I should have asked for a synonym for non-parallel, right? So I was wrong in what I looked up. But anyway, if you use a laser, you might make a terrible mistake on the wall covering. Because if you go by the book with a laser level, you might wind up showing yourself and everybody else that your wall is not straight by hanging these perfectly plumb and then creating that image. You know, when you look down a train track all the way down and they converge, right? They don't remain parallel. They don't remain parallel. They actually do this, right? So you don't want that. So anyway, this isn't plumb. And it's not a cardinal sin. It happens. It's just slightly off. As you see, as we go down, we just lose a little. I'd say we lose altogether about a 1/16 of an inch. But down here, we lose it all. We lose it all. But anyway, I kept it because here's the deal. I'm working on texture. If I overlap this and double cut, I might have a seam showing or a different look. I just don't want it. That's what I was going to do. Overlap it and cut through 1/4 of an inch. You'd never notice that the inches go from 4 to 3 inches and 3/4. You'd never notice. But anyway, I decided against that. Let's recap what we did. We laid out the pattern on the floor. Why? We wanted to use our tape measure to simulate the length and the width of the wall. You know how on our smartphones we do this when we want to enlarge something or make it smaller? Well, I compare putting the tape measure out on the floor over the wallpaper as doing this on a screen. By using the tape measure, you can simulate the length of the wall and put one end of your tape measure and the other end of your tape measure as the top and bottom of the wall to see where the pattern's going to fall. Thus, you achieve falling into the gray zone and staying away from the lines, which, as you remember, came too close for comfort. And then we decided to use our tape measure horizontally so that we could move the wall covering over, back and forth, until we achieved the same amount of gray here as we have over here. This is an atypical wall in that there's a bump out. It's pretty nice, has character, gives this quaint little den real character. But it throws our wallpaper off, doesn't it? Because the focal point becomes the wallpaper, essentially, rather than the window. And why is that? It's because you have a geometric pattern that must have a symmetrical left, a symmetrical right, symmetrical top and bottom. Consequently, it accentuates the fact that the window is not in the center of the wall, but that's not our concern. We're more concerned with the fact that we want to keep equal amount of pattern on the top and bottom being the same. Okay? We took a strip and filled in our 1/4 inch gap against the trim. And as you can see, it came out pretty nicely. This is perfect. As perfect as you're going to get. If anyone has any dispute to that claim, please let me know. I present this to the DIYer. If you follow these directions If you do this in your home, they're going to think a pro did it. The difference between a pro and the do-it-yourselfer is that the pro has made a lot more mistakes than the do-it-yourselfer. But a good pro you follow is going to show you where not to make the mistakes. And the rest is a matter of your hands and your head. You can do it. This is the wall covering. Exclusive wall coverings, pattern number, batch number, etc. The symbols on the left, just become familiar with them. And that's it. That's it. I hope you like it. I do. I love it. You know why? Because I'm going out on the boat. It's Friday. See you later.